I never imagined my husband's dying gift would unearth a nightmare buried in my own backyard, or that a dog would become the hero who saved my family from the shadows of Seattle's deadly opioid underworld. But there I was at 58, staring at an empty urn on my kitchen counter, convinced my world had crumbled for good, only to hear scratching at the door in the dead of night that flipped everything upside down. How could a man I trusted as family turn out to be a monster, hiding fentanyl right under the memorial he built for my Harold? And why did Harold, in his last weeks, secretly arrange for a retired DEA dog to protect me from dangers I didn't even know existed? It started with a stroke that stole my soulmate, but it ended with a betrayal that nearly killed us all, until loyalty from beyond the grave barked back. Before I go on, quick favor. If you're relating to any of this, hit subscribe on Ageless Bold Stories and drop a comment with where you're watching from. City or state is perfect. I'm just trying to build a little corner for women like us who still believe the best chapters can start at any time. Thank you for being here. Back to the story. The Seattle rain was relentless. That spring of 2023, pounding the roof of my Queen Anne bungalow like it was trying to drown out the silence Harold left behind. Grey skies stretched endless over Puget Sound, mirroring the fog in my head, days blurred into nights, the opioid crisis blaring on every news channel like a bad omen. Fentanyl was everywhere, snatching lives in our neighborhood coffee shops and parks. Families shattered by pills disguised as relief. I'd flip the TV off, but the stories stuck, a nagging whisper amid my grief. At 58, I felt unmoored, wandering rooms filled with echoes of 35 years together. Harold's toolkit still open in the garage, his reading glasses on the nightstand, that faded Seahawks mug I'd bought him for our anniversary. The stroke hit like lightning. 1 minute he was laughing over breakfast, planning a ferry ride to Bainbridge. The next he was gone, his hand slipping from mine in that sterile hospital room. Doctors muttered about no warnings, but it didn't ease the ache, that hollow pit where my heart used to be. I'd taken to sitting on the back porch, wrapped in his old flannel, watching the mist roll in off the water. The yard was a mess, overgrown ferns and muddy patches from the constant drizzle, but it was my sanctuary, away from pitying calls from friends. Grief wasn't pretty, it was raw like sandpaper on your soul, waking you at 3 a.m. with what ifs. First emotional peak crashed over me there, tears mixing with rain, that crushing wave of loneliness asking why him, why now, when we had so much left to do. I wiped my face, forcing a breath, but the emptiness clung like the damp air. Then came the knock, sharp, insistent, cutting through the downpour. I hesitated, pulse quickening. Who braves this weather unannounced? Through the peephole I saw Marcus, Harold's old DEA buddy, hunched under an umbrella, his truck idling in the drive with rain sheeting off the hood. They'd been thick as thieves since the 80s, busting rings before Harold switched to tech gigs, and Marcus retired to tinker with boats on Lake Washington. He looked the same, burly, silver-streaked hair, eyes that missed nothing. I swung the door open, wind whipping in. "Marcus, heavens, come in before you float away." He stepped inside, shaking off like a wet dog, his boots leaving puddles on the hardwood. "Evelyn, sorry to barge in like this. Been thinking about you since the funeral. Wish I'd made it, but that family emergency down south." His voice trailed, gruff but warm, like a favorite uncle. We hugged quick, and I smelled coffee and Old Spice on him. That's when I spotted the actual dog, a sleek black German Shepherd at his heel, leash taut, sitting alert with ears pricked forward. The pup's coat gleamed under the hall light, muscles coiled like he was ready for anything, those dark eyes scanning the room before locking on me. "Meet Shadow." Marcus said, grinning as he scratched the dog's neck. Harold's last request. Asked me to bring him straight to you, said you'd need the company and then some. I blinked, confusion knotting my brow. A dog now? My mind flashed to Harold's final days, bedridden in our spare room turned hospice, whispering about loose ends and keeping safe. I'd thought it was the pain meds talking, but this... Marcus, I love the thought, but I'm hanging by a thread here. Walks, feeding, a big boy like him, vet costs in this economy. I can barely remember to eat myself. Shadow stepped closer then, nose nudging my hand gently, his warmth seeping through my fingers. No bark, no fuss, just steady like he understood. Second emotional peak hit hard, a surge of bittersweet gratitude for Harold's foresight. Tears pricking as I realized he was still looking out for me, even from the grave. That spark of connection flickered, easing the isolation just a tad. Marcus nodded, eyes softening. I hear you, Evelyn, but Shadow's special, retired from the narcotics squad, sniffed out more bad stuff than most agents. Harold was dead set on it, especially with this opioid mess blowing up. Streets are rough, break-ins for quick cash to score hits. Shadow's trained to detect, protect, easy keeper too, sits on command, stays put. He slung a bag off his shoulder, kibble, stainless bowls, a thick bed that smelled new. Let me walk you through it. We migrated to the living room, rain lashing the bay windows overlooking the foggy sound, distant ferry horns moaning like ghosts. Marcus demoed tricks. Heel! And Shadow glued to his side. Search! And the dog nosed the air, alert as a sentinel. His instincts were razor sharp, ears twitching at a car passing outside, body tensing briefly before relaxing. It was impressive, almost uncanny in our quiet home. Harold vetted him personally, Marcus added, voice dropping. Met a few times, said you'd bond quick. With the crisis hitting close, remember that overdose at the park last month? He wanted you covered. I knelt, hand on Shadow's flank, feeling his rhythmic breath. The opioid talk nagged, news of fentanyl-laced pills, ruining lives in our tech-savvy city where startups hid darker dealings. Why emphasize protection? Third emotional peak swelled, a mix of comfort and creeping doubt, like Harold knew storms were coming beyond the weather. Marcus packed up, zipping his jacket. Call any time, day or night. Harold trusted me with this, means the world. He squeezed my arm and headed out, truck lights cutting the rain. Shadow settled by the fire, watching me with those knowing eyes. I sank into Harold's armchair, fingers in his fur. What did he see in you, buddy? The house felt a whisper less lonely, but questions simmered. As night deepened, storm raging with thunder cracks like gunfire. Shadow's growl rumbled low. He bolted to the window, staring into the black yard. My heart raced. What was out there? Lightning flashed, illuminating a figure at the gate, and the phone buzzed with an unknown number. My heart hammered like a jackhammer as lightning cracked again, turning the night into a strobe light show. Shadow's growl deepened, vibrating through the floorboards, his body tense as a coiled spring. The figure at the gate, tall, broad-shouldered, hood pulled low against the rain, pushed through and hustled up the walk, boots splashing in puddles. I squinted through the window, breath catching, not a stranger. Travis, my son-in-law, Mia's husband of 6 years, the one who'd married into our family with that slick contractor's smile and promises of forever. But why here now in the middle of this godforsaken storm? The phone kept buzzing on the counter, unknown number flashing like a warning. I silenced it, hand shaking, and flipped on the porch light just as Travis pounded on the door. Travis, what in the world? I yanked the door open, wind gusting in with sheets of rain. He stood there dripping, his work jacket plastered to his frame, eyes darting past me into the house. Shadow positioned himself right at my side, a low rumble in his throat, ears flat. Travis froze mid-step, staring at the dog like he'd seen a ghost. "Mum? Evelyn? Sorry to show up like this, but I couldn't wait. Mia and we've been worried sick about you." His voice was smooth, that fake charm drawl he pulled out for clients, but there was an edge to it, sharp as a nail. He called me Mom like it was natural, but it always grated. Harold used to joke it was Travis's way of staking claim. I stepped aside, letting him in, though every instinct screamed to slam the door. Shadow didn't budge, eyes locked on Travis like he was sizing up a threat. "Worried? It's midnight, Travis, and in this mess, you could have called." The phone buzzed again, same unknown number. I ignored it, but Travis's gaze flicked to the counter, his jaw tightening for a split second before that smile snapped back. "Yeah, about that. My battery died on the drive over. Damn rain probably shorted it. Anyway, I had this idea hit me and I couldn't sleep on it. For Harold." He shrugged off his jacket, hanging it on the hook like he owned the place. Water pooling on my clean floor. That's when I noticed the roll of blueprints tucked under his arm, edges frayed from use. We moved to the kitchen, Shadow trailing close, never taking his eyes off Travis. I poured us coffee, decaf, since my nerves were already shot, trying to steady myself. The storm raged outside, thunder booming like artillery rattling the windows. Travis unrolled the plans on the table, his hands steady but knuckles white. "Look, Evelyn, Harold was like a dad to me. Helped me get my construction biz off the ground, even loaned me startup cash when banks laughed me out the door. I want to do something big for him. A memorial in the backyard. See here?" He pointed to sketches, a fancy reflection pool with stone edging, LED lights, even a small fountain bubbling in the center. It had turned that muddy patch into something peaceful. A place to sit, remember him. I'd handle everything, materials, labor, no cost to you. What do you say? It sounded thoughtful, almost too perfect. Harold had loved the yard, tinkering with bird feeders and rose bushes before he got sick. But something felt off. Travis's eyes kept darting to Shadow, who was now sniffing the air near his boots, nose working overtime. "That's kind, Travis, really, but I'm not sure I'm ready for big changes yet. The yard's fine as is." My voice wavered, grief bubbling up again, that subtle unease creeping in like fog. Travis leaned in, his charm cranking up a notch. "Come on, Mum. It's what Harold would have wanted, a legacy, not just grass going to weeds. Plus, with the opioid stuff hitting the news, folks are tense. A nice outdoor space could be your sanctuary." He chuckled, but it didn't reach his eyes. Shadow let out a soft whine, pawing at the floor near Travis's feet, and Travis shifted uncomfortably. "Hey, what's with the mutt?" "He knew?" I explained about Marcus and Harold's gift, keeping it light, but Travis's face tightened. "A narcotics dog, retired cop stuff. Huh, bold choice for a widow living alone." He reached to pet Shadow, but the dog pulled back, lips curling just enough to show teeth. Travis yanked his hand away, masking it with a laugh. "Feisty one. You sure you can handle him? Big dogs like that need a firm hand." There it was, his controlling side peeking through, that way he always steered conversations like he knew best. I'd seen it with Mia over the years, how she'd gone from bubbly graphic designer to this quiet shadow, always checking her phone, always deferring to him. Speaking of Mia, my phone lit up again, this time her name on the screen. I answered quick, heart lifting a bit. "Honey, everything okay?" Her voice was thin, hesitant. "Mom, Travis said he was heading over, just checking in. In the background, I heard rain pattering. She must have been pacing their apartment downtown. I'm fine, sweetie. He's here now, talking about a memorial for Dad. A pause, then Mia's whisper. Oh, that's nice. Be careful in the storm. She sounded off, withdrawn, like she was reading from a script. Travis watched me, sipping his coffee, but his foot tapped under the table. Tell her I love her, he mouthed, all smiles. But when I hung up, worry gnawed at me, Mia's bruises last visit. The long sleeves in summer heat. She'd brushed it off as clumsy at work, but mothers know. The next morning, after a fitful sleep with Shadow guarding the door, Travis was back bright and early, truck loaded with shovels and stone samples. The rain had let up to a drizzle, turning the yard into a swampy mess. Let's get started, he said, clapping his hands like it was a done deal. I hadn't fully agreed, but his energy steamrolled me. Grief makes you pliable, I guess. As his crew dug foundations for the pool, Shadow went nuts, pacing the fence line, nose to the ground. He'd sniff intently around the dig site, whining, pawing at the dirt like something was buried there. Travis noticed his charm cracking. That dog gonna be a problem? Keeps getting in the way. He shooed Shadow back, but the dog circled, alert, making Travis sweat under his collar. Over the next few days, the build progressed. Trenches deep enough for drainage, or so Travis claimed, but Shadow's behavior ramped up. He'd sit staring at the site for hours, ears perked, ignoring even his food bowl. Travis started dropping by more, checking progress, but his eyes followed Shadow like a hawk. One afternoon, Mia tagged along, her face pale, sleeves tugged low despite the warming sun. She hugged me tight but winced when I squeezed. Another bruise? The pool looks amazing, Mum, she said, voice flat. Travis put an arm around her, possessive, and she stiffened. Shadow growled low, positioning between them and me. Travis laughed it off. Jealous pup, but his eyes flashed unease. Emotions built slow, from that lingering sorrow to this prickly worry. Shadow's spark of companionship grew, his instincts a comfort, but Travis's fake charm felt thinner, Mia's fear more palpable. What was really going on under that memorial? As the concrete poured and the pool took shape, Shadow's sniffing turned obsessive, unearthing clumps of soil that smelled off. Travis snapped one day, "Keep that damn dog inside, Evelyn. He's ruining the vibe." His anxiety masked as concern, but I saw the cracks. Little did I know the real digging was just beginning. The weeks blurred into a soggy haze after the memorial pool's grand reveal. Seattle's endless drizzle turning everything into a watercolor mess. The backyard transformed overnight. Polished stone borders gleaming under the overcast sky, water trickling softly from the fountain like a whispered prayer. Travis had outdone himself, snapping photos with his phone and posting them on social media, with captions like, "Honoring a legend, our family first." Neighbours stopped by to ooh and ah, calling it a serene oasis amid the chaos of the city. But for me, at 58 and still navigating the fog of losing Harold, it felt more like a bandage over a wound that wouldn't heal. I'd sit on the new bench he'd installed, tracing Harold's engraved nameplate with my finger, Shadow at my feet like a silent sentinel. The opioid crisis loomed larger in the news, raids downtown, overdoses spiking in our zip code. But I pushed it aside, focusing on the small wins, like Shadow's steady presence chasing away the loneliness one wag at a time. Yet as the pool settled in, Shadow's quirks turned into full-blown obsession. Rainy nights were the worst. The storm would roll in off the sound, wind howling through the evergreens, and he'd bolt to the backyard door, whining like his life depended on it. I'd let him out, flashlight in hand, and watch as he zeroed in on the pool's base, pawing frantically at the gravel edging. Clumps of disturbed soil would fly, revealing odd patches. Damp earth that didn't match the rest, a faint chemical whiff that made my nose wrinkle. "What is it, boy?" I'd mutter, kneeling in my robe, mud caking my knees. Shadow wouldn't stop until I pulled him away, his eyes pleading like he was trying to tell me something crucial. One night, lightning cracking overhead, he unearthed a small plastic wrapper buried shallow, clear, crinkled with residue that looked like powder. I pocketed it, heart skipping, but chalked it up to construction debris. Grief plays tricks, right? Makes you see shadows where there are none. Travis's visits ramped up, popping by every other day under the guise of maintenance checks. He'd show up with his toolbox, fiddling with the fountain pump or weeding the borders, but his eyes always strayed to Shadow. "How's the pool holding up, Mum?" he'd ask, that fake charm dialed to 11, sweat beading on his forehead despite the chill. I'd offer coffee and we'd chat on the porch, but tension simmered like a pot about to boil. Shadow would shadow him, no pun intended. Nose working overtime near the dig sites, growling low when Travis got too close to the base. "That dog's got issues," Travis said one afternoon, wiping his hands on his jeans after refilling the water feature. "Keeps digging up my hard work. You sure he's not rabid or something?" His laugh was forced, eyes narrowing as Shadow pawed at a fresh patch of gravel he'd just smoothed. I defended Shadow, feeling that spark of companionship harden into loyalty. "He's just curious, Travis. Harold picked him for a reason. Sharp instincts, remember?" But Travis pushed back, his manipulative side slipping the leash. "Curious, he's destructive. Look at these holes, ruining the aesthetic I built for Harold. At your age, Evelyn, a big dog like that could be a liability. What if he trips you? Or worse, bites someone?" He leaned in, voice dropping to that condescending tone he reserved for helping. "I could find him a better home, some farm upstate, plenty of space to run. Mia and I'd even cover the rehoming fees." Mia. Her name hung there, stirring my growing worry. She'd visited less since the build, always with excuses, work deadlines, migraines. When she did come, it was brief, her smiles forced, sleeves tugged low even as summer teased the horizon. One steamy June day, Mia dropped by unannounced, her hybrid pulling into the drive with that quiet hum. She looked thinner, dark circles under her eyes like bruises from sleepless nights. "Mum, just checking in," she said, hugging me loosely, wincing when I patted her arm. Up close I saw it, a faint purple mark peeking from her cuff, shaped like fingers. My stomach twisted. "Honey, what's this?" I whispered, pulling her inside away from the rain that started spitting again. Shadow greeted her gently, licking her hand, but she flinched, glancing over her shoulder like Travis might materialize. "Oh, nothing. Just bumped it at the office. Clumsy me." Her laugh was hollow, eyes darting to her phone as it buzzed, Travis's name flashing. She silenced it quick, but not before I caught the tension in her jaw. We sat by the pool, the water reflecting grey clouds like a moody mirror. Shadow paced the edge, nose down, unearthing more soil near the foundation. Mia watched him, fidgeting. "He's really fixated, huh? Travis mentioned he's been a handful." There it was, her defending him, scripted like always. But as Shadow dug deeper, revealing another odd clump, damp with that same faint odor, her face paled. "Mom, maybe Travis is right. Rehoming might be kinder for everyone." Her voice cracked and she checked her phone again, 3 missed calls from him. Worry bloomed into unease, that maternal gut screaming something was wrong. Had Travis always been this controlling? The way he'd grip her shoulder at family dinners, The evasions about his big projects in construction, suddenly it all felt connected, like puzzle pieces I hadn't wanted to see. Travis showed up that evening, truck rumbling in like he owned the block. Heard Mia was here, thought I'd join for dinner. His smile was all teeth, but his eyes locked on the fresh holes Shadow had made. Again with the digging. Evelyn, this is getting out of hand. He cornered me in the kitchen while Mia set the table, voice low and urgent. That dog's trouble, stirring up dirt, making messes. If he keeps this up, it'll ruin the whole memorial. Let me handle it. I'll take him for a walk tomorrow, find a solution. His words dripped concern, but his fists clenched, anxiety cracking through like lightning. Shadow growled from the doorway, positioning between us, and Travis backed off, chuckling nervously. See? Aggressive. Not safe for you or Mia. Dinner was tense, Mia pushing food around her plate, Travis dominating the talk with stories of his latest Reno job downtown. Big money and tech offices these days, but his foot tapped nonstop, eyes flicking to the backyard where Shadow sat staring at the pool. Mia excused herself early, hugging me goodbye with a whisper. Be careful with him, Mum. Him meaning Shadow or Travis. As they drove off, taillights fading into the rain, unease settled heavy. Shadow's obsession, Travis's panic, Mia's hints of abuse, it all pointed to something buried deeper than soil. Little did I know the real storm was brewing, and the next rainy night would crack it wide open. The unease festered like a bad wound over the next couple of weeks, Seattle's summer rain turning muggy and relentless, steaming up the windows of my Queen Anne home. I'd catch myself staring at the memorial pool from the kitchen, the water's surface rippling under the downpour, while Shadow's digging episodes grew more frantic. He'd wait until dusk, when the neighborhood hushed and the ferry's horns echoed faintly over the sound. Then he'd be at it again, paws flying, unearthing more of those odd, powdery clumps that I now stashed in a Ziploc under the sink. What was it? Construction residue? Or something worse? Tied to the opioid headlines blaring on King 5 every night. Raids in Pioneer Square, kids ODing on laced pills from shady contractors. Travis's visits had become a routine intrusion, his truck pulling up like clockwork, toolbox in hand. But his maintenance felt forced, his eyes always on Shadow, that fake charm wearing thinner than cheap paint. One humid afternoon, Travis showed up unannounced, bandaged arms slung in a makeshift sling, blood spots seeping through the gauze. His face was pale, jaw set like he'd just come from a brawl. Evelyn, Mom, you home? He called from the porch, voice cracking a bit. I opened the door, Shadow right behind me, hackles up. Travis stepped back quick, eyeing the dog like a live wire. What happened to your arm? I asked, concern mixing with that nagging doubt. He winced dramatically, holding it up. That damn dog of yours came at me like a freight train while I was checking the pool filter. No warning, just lunged and bit down hard. Look at this mess. He peeled back the bandage just enough to show jagged marks, red and swollen. Shadow growled low but stayed put as if he knew better. My stomach dropped. First emotional peak, hit like a sucker punch, guilt flooding in. Had I missed signs? Shadow had been edgy around Travis, sure, but aggressive? Oh God, Travis, I'm so sorry. He hasn't done anything like that before. Travis nodded, playing the victim card smooth. Yeah, well, big dogs can snap, especially retired cop ones with that training. I didn't want to worry you, but I had to handle it. Handle it? My pulse quickened. What do you mean? He sighed heavy, pulling a small metal urn from his truck's passenger seat. Plain, etched with paw prints. Took him to the vet right after. Doc said a dog that unpredictable couldn't be trusted, especially around you living alone. Could have been you next. So I made the call, had him put down, cremated same day. These are his ashes. The world tilted, air sucking out of the room. Devastated doesn't cut it. Second emotional peak crashed over me, tears hot and immediate. That raw grief for Harold twisting with fresh loss. Shadow, my lifeline, gone just like that. You killed him without telling me? My voice broke, hands shaking as I took the urn, cold metal biting my palms. Travis put a hand on my shoulder, possessive like always. I was protecting you, Mum, like family does. He attacked me, stitches and all. What if he'd gone after Mia, or you in your sleep? I handled the hard part so you wouldn't have to. Mia. Her name stung. She'd called earlier, voice shaky, asking about Shadow oddly. Travis backed toward his truck, rain starting to pick up again. I'll check on you tomorrow. Get some rest. He drove off, leaving me clutching the urn, doubt spiraling like a drain. Had Shadow really snapped? Or was Travis spinning a tale? The house felt haunted that night, silence pressing in without Shadow's steady breaths. I placed the urn on the mantel next to Harold's photo, staring at it until my eyes burned. Grief morphed into questions. Why the rush? No vet call for me to confirm. I paced the living room, rain hammering like accusations, opioid news flickering on the muted TV. Another bust, pills hidden in construction sites. Travis's biz? Nah, couldn't be. But Mia's bruises, his controlling grip, it nagged. I tried calling her, voicemail. Honey, call me back, something's off. Sleep evaded me, doubt churning into a storm of its own. Days dragged, the backyard pool mocking me with its calm surface. Travis dropped by daily now, just to help, but his eyes scanned the yard like he was guarding a secret. Pool's perfect, he'd say, smoothing gravel over Shadow's old dig spots. Mia came once alone, her eyes red-rimmed. Travis told me about the dog. I'm sorry, Mum. She hugged me tight but pulled away when I mentioned the attack. He wouldn't lie. But her voice wavered, phone buzzing nonstop, Travis checking in. Gotta go, she whispered, fleeing like a ghost. My maternal guilt deepened, resolve hardening. Something was rotten, and Shadow's absence screamed it. Then came that stormy night, a real howler ripping through Seattle, power flickering as wind lashed the trees. I bolted awake at 2 a.m., thunder booming like cannons, heart pounding from a nightmare of buried secrets. That's when I heard it, scratching at the back door, frantic like nails on wood. Rain pelted the glass, but the sound persisted. Flashlight in hand, I crept to the door, peering out. A shape, large, sodden, collapsing against the threshold. I flung it open, wind whipping in. Shadow? He was there, alive, battered beyond belief, fur matted with mud and blood, paws raw and bleeding, sides heaving like he'd run a marathon. He looked up with those dark eyes, exhausted but determined, tail thumping weakly once. Oh my God, boy! I dropped to my knees, pulling him inside, rain soaking us both. He limped in, collapsing on the rug, licking my hand feebly. How? Travis said, the urn mocked from the mantel. Fake? Third emotional peak surged, relief crashing with fury, betrayal igniting like wildfire. Shadow had escaped, fought his way back through God knows what. But why? He whined, struggling to his feet, nosing toward the backyard door insistently. What is it? Lightning flashed as I followed him out, flashlight cutting the dark. He beelined for the pool base, digging weakly despite his injuries, paws scraping gravel. I joined in, hands plunging into cold mud, unearthing something hard. Metal. A small box? No, a smartwatch. Harold's old one, buried shallow, screen cracked but intact. Heart racing, I wiped it clean, powering it on, battery still holding. Voice memos blinked, Harold's voice, weak but urgent. Evelyn, if you're hearing this, Travis is dirty, tied to fentanyl rings through his construction gigs, laundering via tech shells, proof in memos, deal dates, drops. He's hurting Mia too, tracking her phone. Worse, Shadow will find it, trust Marcus. Memo after memo, dates matching Travis's projects, audio clips of hushed calls, even a hacked feed showing Mia's location pings. The drug ring, fentanyl stashed in builds like mine, buried under the pool. Everything clicked. Shadow's obsession, Travis's panic, the fake attack to eliminate the threat. Rage boiled, but Shadow leaned against me, swaying. He needed help. Vet now. But first the box? No, the watch was it. Harold's hidden ace. Storm raging, I dialed Marcus, voice shaking. He's alive, Shadow's back, and Harold left proof. The line crackled. I'm coming, don't touch anything else. As thunder rolled, doubt shattered into determination. This wasn't over. Travis's web was unraveling, and the real confrontation loomed. The storm's fury hadn't let up by the time Marcus's truck splashed into my driveway. Headlights cutting through the sheets of rain like beacons in the chaos. It was pushing 3 a.m. Seattle's streets turned into rivers, but Marcus moved like a man half his age, bursting through the door in his old DEA windbreaker, eyes sharp despite the hour. Shadow perked up weakly from his spot on the rug, tail thumping once as Marcus knelt beside him, running gentle hands over the dog's battered frame. Jesus, Evelyn, you weren't kidding. This boy's been through hell. Paws shredded. Looks like he tangled with barbed wire or worse. He glanced at the smartwatch clutched in my hand, then at the open back door where mud tracked in from our frantic dig. And you found that out there? Buried? I nodded, voice shaky as I handed it over, the device's glow casting eerie shadows on the kitchen walls. Harold's, voice memos, stuff about Travis, drugs, Mia. It's bad, Marcus, real bad. The words tumbled out, fueled by the adrenaline still buzzing from Shadow's miraculous return. Grief had twisted into something sharper now, a burning need for answers. Marcus powered the watch fully, his face hardening as Harold's frail voice filled the room. Dates of drops, coded references to construction hides, laced with fentanyl, ties to a cartel funneling product through Seattle's booming tech scene, apps and shells for laundering cash. He knew, I whispered, sinking into a chair, the rain pounding like my heartbeat. Harold suspected Travis all along, set this up, Shadow, you, everything, to protect us. Marcus rubbed his jaw, that old cop instinct kicking in as he scrolled through the memos. Damn right he did. Harold came to me months back, right after his diagnosis got worse. Said he'd noticed red flags with Travis, flashy cars on a contractor's salary, late nights, Mia pulling away like she was scared. Harold dug quiet-like, using his tech know-how to trace some digital crumbs. Turns out Travis's Reno jobs were fronts for moving product. Fentanyl pills stamped like candy, hidden in building supplies, shipped to tech campuses where stressed-out coders buy 'em as uppers. And the laundering? Through fake apps. Harold hacked traces of it, payments bouncing through Silicon Valley shells. He paused, playing another memo. Harold's voice laboured, detailing an overheard call about a big stash in the memorial. My backyard. The pool. It clicked like a lock tumbling, Travis's deep digs, his panic over Shadow's sniffing. The revelation hit like a gut punch, twisting personal loss into a sprawling nightmare. The opioid crisis, it's been staring us in the face. Those headlines about laced pills killing kids in Ballard. The raids near the Space Needle. Travis is part of that. Marcus nodded grim, pulling up a memo with timestamps matching Travis's visits. Worse, Harold suspected abuse too, Mia. Travis has got her phone hacked, apps tracking her every move, keystrokes, locations. Classic control tactic for these lowlifes. Keep them isolated, dependent. He showed me. Screenshots embedded in the files, Mia's device pings overlaid with Travis's. Text deleted but recovered, threats veiled as love notes. If you leave, no one will believe you. My blood boiled, maternal fury surging. Mia's bruises, her whispers, the way she'd flinch. Harold had seen it, pieced it together while fighting his own battle. We moved to the living room, Shadow limping after us, settling at my feet like he knew the mission wasn't done. Marcus brewed coffee, strong, black, the kind that keeps you sharp on stakeouts, and we decoded more. Harold couldn't go public without proof, Marcus explained, voice low as thunder rumbled outside. Didn't want to spook Travis into something rash while he was sick. So he looped me in, had me source Shadow, a retired K9 with narcotics nose like no other. Figured if Travis used your place as a drop, respectable widow's yard, no red flags, the dog would sniff it out. The smartwatch yielded gold, audio clips of Travis on calls, bragging about tech washes, cleaning dirty money through app devs in Bellevue. One memo even had a partial list. Cartel contacts south of the border, feeding product via ports in Tacoma. Emotions churned as we pieced it, empowerment edging out the dread, Harold's love reaching from the grave like a lifeline. He protected us even when he couldn't, I said, tears pricking. Marcus squeezed my shoulder, his steadfast presence a rock. That's Harold, smart as a whip, but we need more than memos, physical proof. That stash under the pool, if it's fentanyl like Harold suspected, we nail Travis for trafficking. Shadow whined, nosing the watch like agreement. We brainstormed. Call in undercover pals from Marcus's DEA days, set a trap. But first, Shadow needed patching, antibiotics, bandages. I'll take him to my vet at dawn, Marcus said. Keep him safe till this blows over. Travis can't know he's back. As the storm eased to a drizzle, grey light creeping over the sound, urgency built. Mia, trapped in that web, her life monitored like a prisoner. I texted her, come over tomorrow, miss you. No reply, but her phone would ping Travis. Dread mixed with resolve. We had alliances now, secrets unfolding like a bad thriller. Marcus left with Shadow bundled in blankets, promising agents by morning. Alone, I stared at the pool through the window, water still as glass, hiding horrors beneath. The story had twisted from widow's tale to crime saga. Emotional stakes sky high. What would Mia say? And Travis? How deep did his desperation run? The phone buzzed, Mia's name. Count tomorrow, Travis has plans. Heart sinking, I knew, time to force his hand. The dawn broke grey and heavy over Seattle, the storm's remnants dripping from the evergreens like unshed tears. I'd barely slept after Marcus left with Shadow. My mind racing through Harold's memos like a bad loop, fentanyl stashes, hacked phones, Mia's tracked life. The smartwatch sat charging on the counter, a ticking bomb of evidence. By 8 a.m., Marcus was back, sans dog, but with 2 undercover agents in tow. A no-nonsense woman named Reyes, mid-40s with a sharp bob and eyes that missed nothing, and her partner, Jenkins, built like a linebacker, but with a soft southern drawl that put you at ease. They piled into my kitchen, coffee mugs in hand, turning my bungalow into command central. Shadow's stable, Marcus assured me first, squeezing my arm. Vet's got him on fluids and meds, paws bandaged, but that boy's a fighter. He'll be ready when we need him. Reyes spread out on the table, pulling up laptops with encrypted feeds. Mrs. Morrison, Evelyn, we've been on Travis's tail for months. Thanks to Harold's tips. Your husband's intel lines up. His construction firm's a pipeline for cartel fentanyl, hidden in builds like this memorial. Tech laundering's the cherry. Fake apps washing profits through startup shells in Redmond. She clicked through slides. Grainy surveillance pics of Travis meeting shady types at warehouses near the port. Manifests for materials that screamed red flags. Jenkins chimed in, voice like warm gravy. We couldn't pin the stash without risking a blow-up, but with Shadow sniffing it out and Harold's watch, we've got probable cause. Physical evidence under that pool seals it. 2-3 kilos easy, street value north of $1 million. My head spun. This wasn't just family drama anymore. It was a full-blown operation. The opioid plague hitting home like a freight train. We huddled for hours, plotting the trap over bagels from the corner bakery. Can't just dig it up, Reyes explained. Travis claimed ignorance. Who knows how it got there? We need him caught red-handed retrieving it himself. Marcus nodded, his cop instincts firing. Make him desperate. Force a move before he suspects we're onto him. The plan crystallized. I'd host a family dinner that night, casual-like, and leak big renovation news. Hiring a crew to install solar panels right over the memorial, digging deep for mounts and wiring. They start Monday, I'd say, all excited. With the weekend looming, Travis'd have no choice but to sneak back under cover of dark, grab his stash before the excavators unearthed it. We'll have surveillance rolling, Jenkins added. Unmarked vans on the street, drones if the weather clears. The second he touches that box, we swarm. Empowerment surged through me, shifting that vulnerability into something fierce like a mama bear waking up. Harold's setup, Shadow, Marcus, this evidence, had armed me, turning grief into grit, but dread lingered cold in my gut, facing Travis across the table, lying through my teeth while Mia sat there trapped in his web. What about her? I asked, voice tight. Mia's in danger, those hacks, he tracks everything. Reyes softened a touch. We'll extract her post-arrest, get her into protective counseling. But tonight, play it cool. Get her alone if you can, plant seeds of trust. Marcus became my rock, evoking that deep trust Harold had always placed in him. You've got this, Evelyn. You're stronger than you know. I prepped like a pro, channeling my old event planning days from Harold's tech firm parties. Groceries from Pike Place, fresh salmon, asparagus, a pie from the market stalls. Anything to make it seem routine, but my hands shook chopping veggies, mind flashing to Mia's bruises, Travis's fake attack on Shadow. By 6 p.m., the table was set, candles flickering against the dimming sky, another drizzle starting up. Their hybrid pulled in right on time, Travis's voice booming from the porch. Smells amazing, Mom. He strode in, Mia trailing like a shadow, her cardigan buttoned high despite the warmth inside. She hugged me, thin as a reed, whispering, Missed you. Travis clapped my back, too hard, eyes scanning the room like always. Pool holding up? No leaks after that storm? Dinner unfolded tense as a tightrope. We sat around the table, rain pattering the windows, Puget Sound a murky blur beyond. Travis dominated, fork waving as he spun tales of his latest gig, revamping a tech hub in Kirkland, big bucks. Mia nodded along, picking at her plate, phone face down but buzzing every few minutes. I waited for my moment, heart pounding under the small talk. You know, I've been thinking about going green, I said casually over dessert. Hired a solar crew, panels right over the memorial. They'll dig for the mount starting Monday, redo the whole area for efficiency. Travis's fork froze mid-air, colour draining from his face. Solar over the pool, that's major digging. His voice stayed even, but his knuckles whitened on the glass. Mia glanced at him, eyes wide, a flicker of something, fear, hope? Yep, excited about it, I pressed, forcing cheer. Harold always talked sustainability. Cruise got an opening, starts bright and early. Travis recovered quick, chuckling. Whoa, slow down, Mom. That'll wreck the aesthetic I built. Maybe rethink it? But sweat beaded on his brow, foot tapping under the table like a drum. Mia excused herself to the bathroom, and I followed after a beat, knocking softly. Honey, you okay? She cracked the door, face pale. Mom, Travis, it's been bad, years of it, the tracking, the control. I found apps on my phone, logging everything. He says if I leave. Her voice broke, tentative hope cracking her shell amid the fear. Dad knew that watch? I pulled her close. We're getting you out, trust me. But her phone rang sharp. Travis. Babe, where'd you go? He called from the hall, interrupting like a thunderclap. Mia stiffened, whispering, I can't. Not yet. She slipped back to the table, the moment shattered. Travis eyed us both, suspicion flickering. Everything good? I nodded, dread mixing with determination. The trap was set, his hand forced. As they left, taillights vanishing into the rain, anxiety peaked. Would he bite tonight? The agents were in position, Marcus texting, eyes on, stay inside. The high-stakes wait began, emotions raw, the twist amplifying our collective resolve. Whatever came next, we were ready, or so I hoped. The wait stretched like taffy after Travis and Mia drove off, the rain picking up again, turning Seattle's streets into shiny black ribbons under the streetlights. I'd waved them goodbye from the porch, forcing that smile until their taillights vanished around the corner, then bolted inside, heart jackhammering. The trap was baited, solar panels, deep digs starting Monday. Would Travis bite? Marcus's text buzzed in. Teams in position, unmarked van 2 blocks down, eyes on your yard. Reyes and Jenkins hold up in the neighbour's garage. Got the okay from them earlier. Stay put, Evelyn. Call if anything feels off. I paced the living room, the memorial pool glowing faintly under the backyard floodlight. Water chopping in the wind, Mia's confession in the bathroom replayed like a broken record. Years of terror tracked like prey. Fury simmered, but so did fear. What if Travis smelled the setup? What if he lashed out at her first? The clock ticked past 10 p.m., the storm building into a real beast, thunder rumbling like distant bombs, power lines swaying wildly. Lights flickered once, twice, then bam, blackout. The house plunged into dark, the hum of the fridge dying mid-note. Perfect cover, I muttered, grabbing my phone's flashlight. Another text from Marcus. Storms knocking out grids citywide. Drones grounded, but ground teams got night vision. He's on the move. Truck spotted circling your block. My pulse roared in my ears, a mix of dread and adrenaline pumping like I'd chugged 3 espressos. I crept to the back window, peering through the blinds. The yard was a void, rain lashing the pool like angry fingers. Minutes dragged, 11 p.m., midnight, creeping close. Then movement, a shadow slipping over the side fence. Hooded figure hunkering low, shovel glinting in a lightning flash. Travis. He beelined for the memorial, no hesitation, like he'd rehearsed it. The agents were watching. Reyes had texted coordinates earlier, hidden cams buried in the shrubs. He dropped to his knees at the pool's base, right where Shadow had obsessed, and started digging frantic, mud flying in arcs. The rain muffled the sounds, but I could see his desperation. Shoulders heaving, flashlight clamped in his teeth, scooping dirt like a man possessed. My phone vibrated silently. Jenkins. He's in, let him get the goods, then we move. But something boiled over in me, that betrayal, Harold's memos, Mia's bruises. I couldn't just wait. Slipping on my raincoat, I cracked the back door, heart in my throat, and stepped into the storm. The wind whipped my face, rain stinging like needles as I hugged the house shadows, creeping toward the pool. Travis was deep in now, hole widening, his grunts carrying on the gusts. Lightning cracked, illuminating the scene, a metal box emerging from the muck, just like Harold predicted. Fentanyl stash, vacuum-sealed packs glinting wetly. He hauled it out, wiping rain from his eyes, a triumphant sneer twisting his face. That's when I stepped forward, voice cutting through the roar. "Travis, what the hell are you doing?" He froze, head snapping up, eyes wide in the flashlight beam. For a split second, shock registered. Then it morphed into something feral, cornered. "Evelyn, you shouldn't be out here." He stood slow, box at his feet, shovel gripped like a weapon. I inched closer, rain soaking through my coat, fury overriding fear. "I know everything, the drugs, the cartel, what you've done to Mia. Harold figured it out, left proof. It's over." His laugh barked out, harsh and unhinged, lightning flashing his pale face. "Proof? That old man's ramblings? You think you can take me down with a dead guy's watch?" He kicked the box lightly, pack spilling, white powder visible through plastic, enough to destroy lives, fuel the crisis ravaging our city. "This just business. Tech geeks pay top dollar for a pick-me-up and I clean the cash through apps." Harold poked his nose in. Stroke was convenient, wasn't it? My blood ran cold, implying, what, poison? But before I could retort, he reached behind his back, pulling a hidden gun from his waistband, barrel gleaming wet. "You set me up, you nosy bitch, a bug in your kitchen clock. Heard every word at dinner. Solar panels? Cute, but I knew." Heart-pounding twist slammed home. Betrayal on steroids, maximum tension coiling like a spring. The gun leveled at my chest, rain dripping off it, his finger twitching on the trigger. "Agents?" "Yeah." I spotted the van. Cartel's got eyes too. Tipped me off. "Now you're going to help me load this and walk away, or Mia pays first. One call and she's done." Lightning boomed, illuminating his rage-twisted face, the yard a muddy battlefield. I backed up slow, hands raised, mind racing. Where were Reyes and Jenkins? Comms down in the blackout. "Travis, please, she's your wife, Harold's daughter. This isn't you." But it was, the villain unmasked, devolving into pure desperation. He advanced, gun steady, scooping a pack with his free hand. "Shut it! Move!" Time slowed, rain pounding my skull, every sense on fire. I glanced toward the fence, shadowy figures shifting, agents closing in, but Travis lunged, grabbing my arm, yanking me toward the box. "Help or die!" Pain shot through my shoulder, but raw courage ignited. Evolution from grieving widow to hero, facing terror head on. I twisted, yelling into the storm. "Now!" Gunshot cracked? No, thunder masking movement. The showdown teetered, limits pushed, betrayal raw. What came next would shatter everything. In that heart-stopping flash, as Travis's gun barrel pressed cold against my chest and rain hammered down like judgment, my yell, "Now!" cut through the storm. But nothing happened at first. No agents swarming, no sirens piercing the blackout. The wind howled, lightning cracking overhead, illuminating Travis's snarling face, twisted with rage. "You think you're clever?" he spat, yanking me closer by the arm, pain shooting up like fire. "Screaming for help. Your little setup's fried." Storm took out their comms and my guys jammed the rest. Cartel's got tech too, you know? His breath was hot and sour, eyes wild like a trapped animal. I twisted, raw courage surging from some deep place Harold had planted, evolving me from that broken widow into something fierce, unbreakable. Let me go, Travis. It's done. The feds know everything. He laughed, a guttural bark that chilled me more than the rain. Done. I'll bury this deeper than Harold. And Mia, one text and she's history. I've got her phone rigged, trackers everywhere. She tries to run. Boom. He waved the gun toward the house where my phone lay inside, but his threat to Mia ignited pure triumph-fueled fury in me. That's when it happened. A low growl rumbled from the shadows, building like thunder. Shadow lunged from the side yard bushes where Marcus must have stashed him earlier, a black blur exploding through the mud. He slammed into Travis like a freight train, jaws clamping on the gun arm with that trained precision. Not tearing, but holding firm, yanking him off balance. Travis screamed high and raw, the pistol flying into the muck as he stumbled back, arm flailing. "Get off me, you mutt! You should be dead!" The fierce battle erupted in the flooded yard, rain turning everything to chaos. Travis swung wild with his free hand, fist connecting with Shadow's side in a sickening thud. But the dog held on, growling deep, bravery cementing our bond like iron. I scrambled for the gun, fingers slipping in the slime, heart pounding as lightning lit the scene. Travis kicking, Shadow dodging with that canine agility, paws raw but unyielding. "Help!" I yelled again, finally spotting flashes. Reyes and Jenkins vaulting the fence, night vision goggles glowing green in the dark. But Travis wasn't done. He wrenched free, blood streaming from his arm, and snatched Harold's smartwatch from the spilled box, where it had tumbled in the scuffle. "You want proof? I'll smash it!" He raised it high, but in his rage he smacked the side. Triggering something, a beep pierced the storm, the watch's screen flaring to life. Emergency live stream activated, broadcasting to linked devices. Harold's final ace. That tech whiz had rigged it, memos set to stream if tampered with. The watch lit up, projecting faintly against the rain, audio clips blasting out, Travis's own voice echoing his cartel calls, deal dates booming like accusations. "Drop confirmed, fentanyl in the widow's yard." Razor's voice crackled over a radio. "We got the feed. It's broadcasting to HQ, full op exposed." Travis's face crumpled, the cornered villain devolving into pure, consumed rage. "No, you bitch!" He lunged for me again, but Shadow was there, barreling into his legs, sending him sprawling into the mud. Agents piled on, Jenkins tackling him from behind, Reyes cuffing his wrists as he thrashed. "You're done, Travis. Federal trafficking, assault, the works." But Travis wasn't going quiet. He twisted, spitting mud, eyes locking on me with venom. "Mia's dead for this. One call. My guys'll handle it." The threat hung, Mia's remote horror flashing in my mind, but Reyes yanked his phone from his pocket, screens showing the hacked apps Harold had flagged. "Too late. Signal's jammed, and we've got warrants on your network." A chaotic chase had already kicked off in my head, but now it spilled real. Travis broke free for a split second, shoving Jenkins and bolting toward the fence, slipping through flooded yards like a rat. "Stop him!" Reyes yelled, all of us giving chase, me too, raw courage propelling me through the muck, Shadow at my heel, barking fierce. We splashed through neighbors' lawns, rain blinding, lightning guiding the way. Travis vaulted a low hedge, phone in hand, fumbling to dial, threatening Mia even in flight. "She's gone, you hear me?" He screamed back, but Shadow was faster, leaping puddles like a shadow himself, nipping at his heels. Jenkins caught up first, tackling him into a flooded ditch, water splashing high. "Give it up!" Travis fought like a demon, elbowing wild, but Reyes piled on, wrenching the phone away. The device lit up with incoming alerts, cartel pings exposed by the stream. Full operations blowing wide, dealers nabbed downtown, launder apps crashing. Travis slumped, rage deflating into defeated snarls. You ruined everything. Cuffs clicked, agents hauling him up, mud-caked and broken. Mia's emotional breakthrough hit me then, relief flooding as I pictured her free survivor emerging from victim. Shadow trotted back, tail wagging weak but proud, leaning against my leg. His bravery sealed it, our bond unbreakable, Harold's gift triumphing. Reyes clapped my shoulder. You did good, Evelyn. Stream caught it all. Threats, confession. He's looking at life. As they dragged Travis to the van, sirens finally wailing through the blackout. I stood in the rain, evolving fully from grief to hard-won victory. But the night's chaos wasn't quite over. Mia's call buzzed in, her voice trembling. Mom, what's happening? The real healing was just beginning. The sirens wailed through the blackout like a chorus of ghosts finally set free. Red and blue lights pulsing against the rain-slicked streets as agents bundled Travis into the van. He thrashed one last time, mud-streaked face pressed to the window, mouthing curses that the storm swallowed whole. Reyes gave me a nod, her voice cutting through the downpour. We'll need your statement downtown tomorrow, Evelyn, but tonight, get some rest. You earned it. Jenkins scooped up Harold's smartwatch from the muck, sealing it in an evidence bag, the live stream still buzzing with alerts, exposing Travis's whole rotten empire. Shadow limped to my side, wet fur plastered, tail wagging slow but sure, his bravery a warm anchor in the chaos. As the van peeled away, tires hissing on the wet pavement, Mia's call came through, her voice a tremor. Mom, what's happening? Travis isn't answering. I heard sirens on the scanner app. I clutched the phone, rain dripping from my hair, relief and exhaustion crashing over me like the waves on Puget Sound. Honey, it's over. He's arrested, drugs, stalking, everything. Come home. Now. The line went quiet, then a sob broke through, raw and real. I'm coming. Marcus appeared from the shadows, wrapping a blanket around my shoulders. Shadow leaning into us both. You did it, Evelyn. Harold'd be proud. The night blurred after that. Agents wrapping the scene, tow trucks hauling Travis's vehicle, neighbours peeking from windows as power flickered back on. But justice? It started sinking in, a heavy weight lifting inch by inch. The next few days were a whirlwind in the Queen Anne bungalow, Seattle's sun peeking through clouds like a tentative promise. Travis got slammed hard at his arraignment, federal charges stacking up like bad debts. Fentanyl trafficking with intent to distribute, digital stalking via those hacked apps. Assault on a federal agent during the chase, even attempted murder for that gun pulled on me. The judge denied bail, citing flight risk and the live stream evidence that had gone viral in law enforcement circles. 30 years minimum, Reyes told me over coffee at the station, her tone matter-of-fact but eyes soft. With the amount we dug up, pure fentanyl, enough to kill half the city, he's looking at life in a max sec pen. Cartels crumbling too. That stream triggered raids across town. I nodded, the weight of it settling. Justice not just for us, but for every family the opioid crisis had gutted. Those headlines finally hitting back. Mia showed up that night, duffel bag in hand, face pale but eyes clearer than I'd seen in years. She collapsed into my arms on the porch, sobbing like the dam had burst. He can't hurt me anymore, she whispered, and I held her tight, that maternal resolve turning to fierce protection. Never again, honey, you're safe. She moved in temporarily, claiming the guest room, Harold's old study, with his bookshelves still lined with tech manuals and family photos. The first week was rough, nightmares jolting her awake, panic attacks when her phone buzzed with spam. But we tackled it together, starting with therapy. A counsellor Reyes recommended, specialising in domestic violence, survivors tangled in cyber messes. It's like detoxing from poison, Mia said after her first session, voice shaky but stronger. We sat on the couch, herbal tea steaming, shadow curled between us like a furry therapist. Dismantling Travis's digital traps became our project, a cathartic purge that rebuilt Mia's confidence brick by brick. With help from Jenkins, he swung by with laptops, and a grin, we dove in. Mia's phone was a minefield. Hidden apps logging keystrokes, GPS pings feeding to Travis's servers, even camera access he'd snuck in. Bastard turned it into a spy gadget, Jenkins muttered, fingers flying over keys. We wiped it clean, installing blockers and fresh security, ironically using Harold's old tech tips from his memos. Mia took the reins, her graphic design skills pivoting to cybersecurity basics. I want to learn this, she declared one afternoon, poring over online courses. Help others spot the signs. By week 2, she'd landed a part-time gig at a local firm, auditing apps for vulnerabilities, entry-level but a start. Feels good to fight back, she said, eyes lighting up with that liberated joy I'd missed so much. Shadow heeled alongside us, his paws bandaged but spirit unbroken. The vet cleared him for light walks, and we'd stroll the neighbourhood, Mia on one side, me on the other, the dog trotting proud like our guardian. He symbolized loyalty now, evoking warmth that chased away the chill of betrayal. Dad sent him for this, Mia mused one evening, scratching his ears as we watched the sunset over the sound. Emotions shifted gradual, from that raw sorrow to gratitude, peace seeping in like morning light. I found renewed purpose too, volunteering at a local opioid support group, sharing our story anonymized, helping widows navigate loss amid the crisis. You're not alone, I'd say, feeling Harold's echo in the words, but healing wasn't linear. Bumps came. One night Mia broke down over old photos, guilt crashing. I should have left sooner. Dad saw it, why didn't I? We cried together, Shadow nosing in for comfort, blending sorrow with those uplifting bonds. You survived, honey, that's strength. As weeks turned to months, the bungalow felt alive again. Laughter over takeout, Mia's new job stories filling the air. Travis's trial loomed, but with the evidence mountain high, it was a formality. Justice wrapped tight, but the real payoff was here. Family mending, resilience blooming. Yet, as we rebuilt the memorial, tearing out the tainted pool for a simple garden, one loose thread nagged, Harold's final files untouched in his desk. What else had he left? The answer waited, promising closure in the quiet. Spring turned to summer in Seattle, the rare blue skies over Puget Sound, feeling like a gift after the storm that had upended everything. The bungalow hummed with new life, Mia's laughter echoing from the kitchen as she experimented with recipes from her therapy group's cookbook, Shadow's nails clicking on the hardwood as he followed her like a devoted shadow. We'd ripped out that tainted memorial pool weeks after Travis's arrest, the excavators unearthing the last remnants of his fentanyl stash under federal watch. What replaced it was simple, honest, a garden bursting with Harold's favourite perennials, lavender for calm, sunflowers for joy, and a stone bench etched with his name. No fancy fountains, just earth and growth, a place to sit and breathe. I tended it daily, weeding and watering, finding solace in the dirt under my nails. Grief hadn't vanished, but it had softened, making room for gratitude and that quiet peace that comes from knowing you'd fought and won. One crisp August evening, as the sun dipped low, painting the sound in golds and pinks, Mia and I settled on the bench with mugs of chamomile tea. Shadow sprawled at our feet, his paws fully healed now, greying muzzle resting on my shoe like he knew his watch wasn't over. Mia looked healthier, cheeks flushed from her morning jog, confidence blooming like the roses we'd planted. Her cybersecurity job had turned full-time, auditing apps for the very traps Travis had used, turning her pain into purpose. "Feels good, Mum," she said, sipping her tea, like I'm taking back what he stole. I nodded, heart swelling with that liberated joy radiating from her. We'd dismantled more than digital snares. Therapy sessions had unpacked years of control, rebuilding her step by step. Shadow nudged her hand, evoking that warmth he always did, a symbol of loyalty that tied us to Harold's enduring love. We talked about the trial wrapping up, Travis sentenced to 30 years in a federal pen down in California, no parole for 20. The judge had thrown the book, trafficking that fueled the opioid nightmare, stalking that caged Mia, attempted murder in our backyard brawl. His cartel ties crumbled too, raids snagging accomplices from Tacoma to the border. "He can't touch us," Mia whispered, eyes on the garden. But closure? It hit different. As the light faded, I pulled out the envelope I'd found tucked in Harold's desk files while clearing his study. A simple thing, my name in his shaky scroll. "For Evelyn and Mia when the dust settles." We'd avoided it till now, too raw, but tonight felt right. My hands trembled opening it, Mia leaning in close. Harold's words spilled out, dated weeks before his stroke. "My dearest girls, if you're reading this, then the pieces fell into place. Travis exposed you both safe. I'm sorry I couldn't stop it sooner. The docs gave me months, but time slipped like sand. I saw the signs. Travis's cash flow, Mia's fading spark. The way he'd hover like a storm cloud. Doug Quiet used my tech tricks to trace the fentanyl web. The hacks on your phone, honey, broke my heart, but I couldn't confront without proof. Didn't want him turning on you while I faded. Marcus and Shadow were my Hail Mary, old buddy and a dog with a nose for trouble. Hoped it'd protect you, Evelyn, and uncover what I couldn't. Mia, if you're scared, know this. You're stronger than him, braver than you think. Leave the cage, rebuild. I love you both more than words. 35 years with you, Evelyn, was heaven. Watching you grow, Mia, my greatest joy. Fight the good fight. Help others caught in this opioid hell. Volunteer, speak out. Love doesn't die, it echoes. I'll be watching from wherever. All my heart, Harold, Dad. Tears blurred the page, that unexpected letter a final message of hope, bringing catharsis like a wave washing clean. Mia sobbed first, clutching my hand, sorrow blending with uplifting bonds we'd forged. He knew, Mum, even then. I pulled her close, Shadow whining soft, nosing our knees. Gratitude swelled for Harold's foresight, his love stretching beyond death, turning loss to fulfillment. We'd survived the nightmare, emerged with renewed purpose, Mia thriving, me finding joy in small acts. Shadow, our steadfast symbol. That vow came natural, sitting there as stars pricked the sky. "Let's do it," Mia said, wiping her eyes. "Help others like the support group, but bigger. Start a hotline or something for digital abuse in the opioid world." I nodded, peace settling deep. We pledged it then, to honor Harold, fight the fight. Months later, our little nonprofit launched Echoes of Hope, aiding survivors of trafficking-tied abuse, with cyber tips and canine therapy demos featuring Shadow. The garden became our ritual spot, a touching finale to the chaos, sitting there weekly, honoring his enduring love through stories, laughter, Shadow's watchful presence a reminder of loyalty's power. Life moved on, not perfect but full. I dated a bit, a kind widower from the group, coffee turning to walks along the Sound. Mia met someone too, gentle and real, no shadows lurking. Shadow slowed with age, but his tail still thumped at our voices, evoking warmth that chased any chill. Sorrow lingered in quiet moments, but uplifting bonds overpowered. Family healed, purpose found. Harold's love never died. It bloomed in that garden in us, and in a city scarred by opioids, we became the light, proving the best chapters can start anytime. That's our story, raw, real, redeemed.